Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. This is Jean-Guy Bourguignon on EFA29 on this Sunday, April 26. Today I want to talk about why must it be evil? Oh, the irony, and maintaining vigilance. And before I get into that, Vincenzo, Marina, yesterday I posted on my public page about supporting your local businesses, and good friends of mine, beautiful family, they own a salon in Ottawa, New York hair salon, and I picked up my kit, right, my beard kit. So anyway, as you can see, Vincenzo, you're going to have to compete with your alter ego there, party hard. And it was inside joke. But my point was, here's the 2 pounds of cream in it this morning, the hairspray, the color, blended in my colors, as you can see, and to trim it to it, did a pretty good job. But I wanted to feel GQ today, like this productive Sunday, barefooted right now, just chilling, and just feeling a little bit, put on the products today, chillax, right? Be productive, but chillax. And this is why I want to talk about from conversations, right? When you chillax, have conversations. And lately I've been having some of those conversations. And what I find in the conversation is the pattern of the conversations. Whether it's the 5G conversations, or whether it's the Bill Gates conversation, or the Vaxxer conversations. Like, there's so many things about they're controlling the population conversations, they're tracking us, we're going to insert stuff to track us conversation. It's to decrease the world population, that's what they're doing, conversations. And when you bump into somebody after 10, 20, 50 years, they start talking about stocks and you should be buying these stocks and that kind of stuff, but that's not what they do in life. They don't have knowledge, training, and experience in it, but they start telling you about stocks. And because everybody, and then you start bumping into more people, everybody's telling you about that same stock. That's what's happening, right? Whether it's the 5G or the Bill Gates or the Controlisms or get rid of the world population, this is what it's like. And people, when you look at the same thing, a lot of them they're talking about is control. Media is controlling us, everybody's controlling us, the 1% is controlling us, delivering the same message, etc., etc., etc. We're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing with all these channels and all these things, talking about the 5G, talking about the Bill Gates, talking about the vaccines, and the same message and it's spreading out. Everybody's repeating the same thing. So I look at that and I go like, what's the difference, right? And why must it be evil? Why must vaccine be evil? Why must 5G be evil? Because I don't want to get into I know this about 5G, I know that about 5G. I don't want to get into that. But if you don't want 5G, which is 5th generation, if you don't want 5G, and if the world wants to stop on 5G, because right now we notice how the world is not ready for more advancement in communication because everything got to slow down, right? Everything slowed down. Or all these companies had to put in a lot of dollars and cents to bump up and boost up their resources out there, whether it's your Zoom, your Skype type television type platforms, intercommunication platforms, or all your cell phones and your devices. Now everything slowed down, your computer, everything slowed down, didn't it, right? Because it's like if you take a 2-inch pipe and you put in another 1.25-inch pipe and another 1-inch pipe and another 3/4-inch pipe and you start jamming that pipe in, and then eventually it jams up, right? And you start putting fluids through that, it just jams up. It doesn't move as fast, like molasses, right? And that's why you're 5th generation. And it's always going to go. It's always going to happen because we're always changing. Just our household. But whether you have your laptops, your phones, or your Wi-Fi devices, or your Alexa type devices, like Wi-Fi everything. Like even the vehicles now have Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi, remote garage door openers, Wi-Fi, repeaters in the house. Everybody has Wi-Fi everything, right? And if you don't want your Wi-Fi vehicles and your Wi-Fi smartphones, your Wi-Fi smart TVs, and your Alexas and your remote this and your remote that, and cameras everywhere and all that, if you don't want that, then take it off the table also. If you don't want 5G, take that off the table also. Because if you want all that, all these things, that's when 5G comes in. Okay, that's where 5G comes in. When you look at it reminds me of when I look at environmentalists. There's a lot of environmentalists out there and good people, all intellectual people, the whole 9 yards. But they all want environmentalists, but not for them. Right? They still want to do their trips, they still want to have their SUVs, they still want to have them big houses and nice lives, etc. Just don't have the environmentalists here. Or the animal rights activists, and I love my dogs, love my dogs, I'm an animal rights activist, I'm not, right? But I'll protect pets and I'll be humane with pets and that kind of stuff, and they're like our children. But I still am realist that the inside of my vehicle is leather, right? I do have leather shoes. I do eat meat. I'm a realist that way. So, and then when I look at a lot of these things that are applying the 5G, if you don't want 5G, then you can't have that, right? And then with the vaccines and the developments of medicine and so forth, when I look at the developments of medicine and the vaccines, individuals like your Bill Gates and your Oprah Winfrey's of the world, the philanthropists of the world, there's individuals that, what if it's for good, right? Ever think about that? When they see, like, what if I could make people live a long, prosperous life instead of being weak and sick by 50 or weak and sick by 60, etc., right? Our hospitals are full all the time, our old age homes are full all the time. Like, we have so many different diseases on top of diseases because of the processed food world and etc. What if I'm able to change something? Because I see so much, like, I tell this to people, the mission statement. What if their mission statement of life, their philanthropy of life, is to save life and change lives, right? Like, one of the companies I work with and partnered up with and president of, like, the mission statement is about saving and changing lives. And I've always told people, the more money you can make as a philanthropist, the more lives you can touch. Right, the more lives you can help, the more families, more communities, more cities, more. Imagine if you can live 80 years and 90 years fully healthy, never being sick. Could you imagine? Well, there's people that are trying to do that. Could you imagine how much better the world would be if we took away sickness, illness? How much more productive would it be if you took away, think of all the illnesses, from your mental health, from your physical health, from your medical health, whichever. Imagine if the world did not have that. Because there's people that are trying to do that. Just like there's people that are trying to have better communication so that we have advancements in science, advancements in medical, advancement in military also, right? I'm telling you, and if you don't want advancement in military, then all the other stuff, like your GPS, where does your GPS come from, right? It was military type intelligence. A lot of the stuff that we have today as our everyday social life came from the ideas of military intelligence, came from those structures, right? So there's a lot of good things for the advancement of communication, the advancement of science, the advancement of, and is there bad vaccines, that kind of stuff? I'm never going to argue with anyone. I'm never going to argue with them, but I'm going to say, just take off the eyes of a horse. I always tell my daughters, take off the eyes of a horse, right? The blinders on the side, take that off, and look around you and look at all aspects. That's all. If you stay within your box, and if you don't go outside your lines too much, or don't look over and see different perspectives, you end up, and that's what the message is not good, right? When I look at, the irony, I don't want this, but I want all that, like, the irony, and maintaining vigilance. Of course you're maintaining vigilance. Of course you want to keep your check on the system, your eye on the government, because the government is people. The government is a body of people, and sometimes there's bodies of people in governments that are not that good, right? Or some of them are call them the dark side or whichever. But there's people around this earth that are not good people, right? And they sometimes get into political parties, and history has proven that, right? So absolutely have maintained vigilance. But if you don't think government is listening to you, you really believe that? If they wanted to know information on you, everything is Wi-Fi, everything is electronic, everything is listened to. If they want to listen to you, they can listen to you. And if they want to know anything about you, they have it already. Okay? Unless you live in some remote underground cave in some remote part of the world, they can find you and they can get information on you. And it's funny, and I know you're thinking right now, yeah, but they can't find this person, can't find that person. I know. And this is where that balance, right? This is where that balance, when you look at, like, on everything. But maintaining vigilance on your system, on your governments, etc., absolutely, right? But there are good systems out there for good intents. And when I look at the irony of it all, and I look at the message that's out there, whether it's your social media from all these platforms delivering the same message that everybody's saying the same thing now. Bill Gates vaccines, this and that. Everybody's saying the same thing. Right? So how is that different than everybody delivering the same message, whether it's from this form of media, or that form of media, or this form of government control, or that form of government control? What's the difference? Right? I think we need to go back to values, like we talked about in previous EFA. We need to go back to respect. We need to go back to what government is. It's a check on a system, not a business, right? And looking back, there's a lot of things that we're gonna learn from, but why does everything have to be evil? Why can't it just be for the good of good? Why can't it just be for the good of helping others and making better communities and better lives and better cities and better everything, right? Do I think right now there's a whole shift on controlling everybody on money and etc.? Absolutely. I'll be the first one to tell you, right? We're herding everybody, like literally, we're herding all of us, like cattle. The entire earth is being herded into the electronic world, into the world of control everything, right? Am I going to be the first to say that? Absolutely, right? Because right now, whether it's by pandemic, it's a real pandemic, there's a real virus out there, there are people that are really dying, and the reason why they call it a pandemic is because they can't control it, right? They can't control the spread of it, they can't stop it because they don't have a vaccine for it, right? They don't have a vaccine for it, they don't have a cure for it, so isolation works, so that's why they're controlling it. But people like myself will say we can go back to work if everybody applies rules and regulations and put measures and procedures in place and etc. We can all go back to work and everybody had acted civilized and respected each other's space. We can absolutely go back to life, right? In sequences and in measure and procedural ways, etc., etc. But when I look at everything going on right now, message wise and whether it's like there's no difference. There's no difference. Just let's go back to respect, let's go back to personal protective equipment, so measure and procedures and go back. But this constant, I call it dark messages out there. Dark messages, call it the dark web or call it whatever. It's called the dark web for a reason. It's like, it's all these different agendas, but I tell my daughters to peel the eyes of a horse on and look at different aspects of it, right? Look at the other people and the whys behind it and why it's called 5G, it's the fifth generation. People say, oh, I know it's fifth generation. Well, then if you don't want it to grow, if you don't want it to expand, then just stop life the way it is. Stop life the way it is, and if government is trying to control the population of the world, if government is trying to get rid of people, they're not doing a good job at it, right? Like we've grown to 6 billion people in the last 100 years, and we've had so many pandemics and so many different things, so they're obviously not doing a good job at that either. So, common sense, just common sense, right? Jean-Guy Bourguignon, EFA29 on this Sunday, April 26th. Thank you, merci.